1 John 3, chapter 1. See how great a love the Father has given us, that we should be called the children of God. And in fact, we are. For this reason, the world does not know us, because it did not know him. Beloved, now we are the children of God, and it has not appeared as yet what we will be. We know that when he appears, we will be like him, because we will see him just as he is. And everyone who has this hope set on him purifies himself just as he is pure. Everyone who practices sin also practices lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. You know that he appeared in order to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. No one who remains in him sins continually. No one who sins continually has seen him or knows him. Little children, make sure no one deceives you. The one who practices righteousness is righteous, just as he is righteous. The one who practices sin is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The Son of God appeared for this purpose, to destroy the works of the devil. No one who has been born of God practices sin, because his seed remains in him, and he cannot sin continually, because he has been born of God. By this, the children of God and the children of the devil are obvious. Anyone who does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor the one who does not love his brother and sister. For this is the message that you have heard from the beginning, that we are to love one another, not as Cain, who was of the evil one and murdered his brother. And for what reason did he murder him? Because his own deeds were evil, but his brothers were righteous. Don't be surprised, brothers and sisters, if the world hates you. We know that we have passed out of death into life because we love the brothers and sisters. The one who does not love remains in death. Everyone who hates his brother or sister is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has eternal life remaining in him. We know love by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. But whoever has worldly goods and sees his brother or sister in need and closes his heart against him, how does the love of God remain in him? Little children, let's not love with word or tongue, but in deed and truth. We will know that by this we are of the truth, and will set our heart at ease before him, that if our heart condemns us, that God is greater than our heart, and he knows all things. Beloved, if our heart does not condemn us, we have confidence before God, and whatever we ask, we receive from him, because we keep his commandments and do the things that are pleasing in his sight. This is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another just as he commanded us. The one who keeps his commandments remains in him, and he in him. We know by this that he remains in us, by the Spirit whom he has given us.
That sounds pretty clean cut and dry. He's not complicating it with, you can tell people by this or that, and discernment and all these things, and not to sound like I'm bashing Paul, because that's not it either. Paul just has a different perception. But John's just, like I said, John's a little older here, and John's just saying, hey, you'll know a Christian because he'll live like Christ.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's no reason to oversimplify it or overdefine it. It's just that simple. If you say you're saved and you're still acting like the world, then maybe you're probably not saved. We could use a little bit of that preaching right now. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason we have open rebellion in the pulpits right now. We have open rebellion in the pews. We have open rebellion inside the body. It's not just those acts of sin that we stumble into. It's the continuing in sin that John talks about here. That he says you can't be a child of God if you're continuing in sin, because if you're a child of God, you won't continue in sin.
One of the things we're doing this week on my job, if you're hearing this, it was last week, is have a cadet range, supervising cadets. It's an interesting class. But in my department, what you do with cadets and really what you're doing with your annual training that you have for staff is with the firearm systems, the way we teach it. and it could use some upgrading, especially on our rifles. But I see John doing the same thing that we talk about in firearms class. What we're doing is we're building you a platform off of which to build.
Right.
We're building you a firm foundation here. We're building something that if you become proficient in it and you practice it, now we can start teaching you other things. But you got to get this system, you got to get this platform down to get into the deeper things. And I see John kind of doing that here, especially if you look at verses 2 and 3. Beloved, now we are the children of God. It has not appeared as yet what we will be. And we know that when he appears, we will be like him because we will see him just as he is. So he's talking about the second coming here,
Mhm.
and us being transformed into his image is what he's alluding to. Paul says that outright. And everyone who has this hope set on him purifies himself just as he is pure. So the whole thing is set upon this expectation of the return of Jesus Christ. So you have this relationship with him now, yet you're also eagerly awaiting his return. Because you're eagerly awaiting his return, now it's time to purify yourself that you might be found in a right state. You don't want to have to answer for too much when he comes back.
Yeah.
It is so when he gets it now he's talking about, well, how do you purify himself? How do you purify yourself? Everyone who practices sin also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. And like I said before, he's not really defining the law.
Right.
He's defining it, in simplicity as love God and love your fellow believer. He's talking about walking in love. That's the law right there. Now, do all them things that Paul talked about apply? Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just keeping it simple. He said in chapters 1 and 2, you already know the law.
One thing I'm reminded of in firearms training is the use of gross motor skills,
Mm-hmm.
um, using your entire hand to operate the slide of a pistol, and not using your fingers to do stuff, but using your hand and using your gross motor skills. And one of the reasons that we do that is because in a stressful situation, you lose your fine motor skills.
Yeah, that adrenaline hits.
You get that adrenaline dump, and your fingers don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But your gross motor skills, you can still use that. You can still fight through that and everything. So what I'm seeing here, just kind of seeing John coming from a different perspective of persecution. When you look, John is the only apostle that died of what we would call natural causes, uh, but he lived a long life, and so he's been through some different types of persecution. Not to make light of what any of the other apostles went through, but he's lived a long life, and I think he's breaking it down Barney style, so to speak, so that when we are enduring our persecutions, when we are in the midst of our spiritual warfare and we're going through our things, we can keep it simple. We can use and exercise the gross motor skills of Christianity and know that, hey, okay, I know we're in some deep stuff right now. If I just love God and love my neighbor and love myself, I'll stay right there for a while. That's a little bit easier to remember and focus on in a relationship than it is to try to remember all these commands and principles and all these other things, which I'm not saying to throw all those out, but in the midst of trials and tribulations, your brain operates different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of what I'm seeing here is John just keeping it simple, stupid, so that when the day is long and the times are hard, you're not having to think a whole lot about that relationship and is everything right between me and the Lord, and is everything going okay? And we can kind of do that spiritual gut check and say, okay, I love the Lord, I'm loving my neighbor, I'm loving myself. Okay, we're good. Let's Charlie Mike and keep cruising, because sometimes that's all you got.